Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got another card using the Guy Greetings stamp set. I'm doing a series of them and all these mail cards. A lot of you seem to have problems with designing the mail card, so I thought I'd do a series using the Guy Greetings stamp set. This one that we're going to do today is using the triple time technique, which I'm sure you've seen quite a bit of, and it's a very easy card to make. So to start with, I'm going to stamp it a bit differently than the original one, but I'll start off by giving you the base colours and sizes. So for my base colour is Early Espresso, and it's 11 inches long by 4 1/4 inches wide, and then scored at 5 1/2. And then just grab my bone folder and you just burnish that, so you've got a really nice fold there. Okay, so that's the base. And then the next layer in Early Espresso you'll need is 3 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. So that's there. And then you will also need a smaller piece in the base colour, which is 2 1/4 inches by 3 1/2 inches. So you need a base colour, and then you need a lighter colour that you're going to stamp on, which I've chosen to use Crumb Cake. Sorry, Sahara Sand I've decided to use. Pop that over there. So in the Crumb Cake you need 3 mats. So the largest one you need is, which will be 4 inches by 5 1/4. Then you need one that is 3 inches by 4 1/4, and a smaller one that is 2 inches by 3 1/4 inch. So they're the sizes that you need. Just grab that piece. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp the piece that goes inside the card. Make sure I cut it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to just bring in my MISTI and just pop that down that side. And I just love these MISTI corners, because I had problems like my magnets were always smashing into each other if I got them too close, and they were chipping. With these MISTI corners, the magnets are inset in the corners, and I find it a lot easier. So I'm just straightening that up. So that's Sahara Sand that we're going to be stamping on, and I'm just going to use a Sahara Sand ink pad. So I'm just going to stamp up my car, and just, because this is the inside of the card, so you don't want it too bright, so just one stamp is quite sufficient. And then we'll just adhere that straight into the card. You could use snail, but I do like to use the multi-purpose glue. So if I haven't got it completely straight, it just gives me that little bit of time to move my cardstock. Okay. So try not to get glue on your fingers, and we're just going to pop that straight inside of the card, and then that's the inside done. So that's the inside of your card done. So that's that. So that's our base card. Then what we're going to do is get the 3 pieces that you are going to stamp on. 3 pieces that you're going to stamp on. And once again, the measurements are 4 inches by 5 1/4, 3 inches by 4 1/4, and 2 inches by 3 1/4. So we're just going to take our snail and we're going to adhere those to each other. But you only want like a little bit of snail just to hold it in place, because we're going to have to pull these apart when we've finished our stamping. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of snail on that tiny piece to go in the middle, like that. So you can see what's happening already. So then we're going to bring my MISTI back in. And I'm just going to, I'll push it up so you can see it, as long as I can close my top. Now, I did, before we come on camera, I did stamp and cut out a car in StazOn Jet Black, and I'm not going to colour that today like I normally do. I'm just going to add that most probably to about there. So I might leave that in place just to give me some idea. Now I'm going to pop my sentiment there. I better take the car off because it's most probably still got a bit of ink on it. Now I'll just adjust that so it's straight. So it will just go down. So just stamp that up with the Sahara sand. So the good thing with the MISTI is you can re-ink if it hasn't given you a bold enough look. I'm quite happy with that, so I remove my sentiment. Then I'm going to put the car right down in that corner so it's going over the 3 layers. Adjust it a little bit. Okay, so the thing is, going over the 3 layers, oh, I better pop that on there so it doesn't move. Going over the 3 layers, where the these cuts are here, you'll find when you're stamping that you won't get a clear image. I'll show you what I mean. It does miss a little bit. So I always do it so you can see down here where I've missed. That's because we're trying to do it over 3 layers. So I'm just going to stamp it up again, and where it hasn't taken, you have to try and give it a really good and those just at the bottom there where those wheels are is being a bit stubborn, but once we add it to all the other layers. So then I'm going to pop the car up here. Actually, might bring in the hats from the same stamp set, and see, we're going over the 3 layers. So we're just going to stamp that up. That's stamped over the 3 layers quite well, a lot better than the car did. That. Bring that up there. So then I might do, let's bring that down there. And we'll bring in the shoes. I'm not really concerned if it doesn't go over the 3 layers. The shoes is a lot smaller. It's just a fact of trying to incorporate 2 or 3 stamps, different stamps on the card to get the triple time effect. So I'm doing this card a bit different so it doesn't look so busy as my original card did. So then I'm just going to pop my corners up there. And I'm just going to bring in the shoes here because we're going to have the other car that I've cut out. We're going to add that with dimensionals just up a little way. So I hope you're enjoying this set of tutorials I'm doing on the Guy Greetings card. We don't very often see that many male themed cards being done, so I thought it was really a good idea to just give you some ideals. And then we can still have this card, this car sitting up over there. Doesn't really matter that so might just do another car there, and it's not going to be the whole car, but that's part of this style of technique on this, using the triple time technique. It doesn't have to be, the whole image doesn't have to be on the stamped on. You can stamp some of them off. You can see what I mean, how it misses there. And keep forgetting to put my magnets on today for some reason. it misses there on the fold, but it won't matter once we layer the early espresso. It'll look fine. So I think that's all I'm going to you could do another, we could do another, just half a hat. In there. So it doesn't look too empty, but at the same time you don't want it to look too busy. My original card, I did like it, but I felt it looked a bit too busy. So you can see there where it's missed. And once again, I forgot to put that down. Yeah, you can see where it's missed, but that's fine. It'll all work out well once we've got it layered with the early espresso. So then we're going to put, and it won't matter that it's over, it's probably have that about there. So we'll pop our Misty away for now. Now you just need to remove these very carefully. You can see where it's pulled a bit of the cardstock up there, but that won't matter because we're going to layer it. So we need this piece to go in the middle of there. So using my wet glue, it's just the stamping that takes most time really, like deciding where you want it. So that's layered on there, and then the other side we're going to layer that onto there. So you could experiment with any of your stamp sets with this technique. It's such a great technique to do. I have used the Mediterranean Moments stamp set doing this technique and then sponging it over the top of that. So now we're going to put this on top of there, so you can see what's happening. So when you put it on there, you can see why it didn't really matter that that little gap was between, because we're going to try and line up the best we can when we glue this piece down. But you've got the early espresso separating stamped images. So I'm just going to line it up with the shoes and the hat. Rather than thinking about keeping it straight, I just looked where the hats were, and the shoes was a good one to line up with. like that, and then that piece is going to go onto there like that. So I'm just going to line it up with the car. So you can see it didn't matter that we didn't have the whole car image on there. It just adds to the card. I'll just press all those layers down. And then we're going to bring in our base card. And we're going to pop that onto there like that. And if you really wanted to add some dimension to your card, you could actually use the adhesive foam strips, which would make this sit up even further. But I'm not going to do that today. So then we just want it to adhere on here as straight as possible. Make sure I haven't got my card upside down. And we're just going to pop that on as straight as possible. So I hope you've enjoyed the series of cards, the mail cards I've done for you using the Guy Greetings stamp set. Notice there's a bit of glue there, so just use your adhesive eraser and that will just come straight off. Okay, so then all we need to do is add this piece. Just see where we want to pop it. There, so we'll just grab our dimensionals. I advise that you, when you're putting your dimensionals, just go close to the edge all the way round first. And if you want to put a couple in the middle, you can. Or you could also use, instead of cutting these, you can use the new Stampin' Up mini dimensionals as well, which are ideal for this sort of situation. Just say, for instance, in there wasn't big enough area to put another dimensional, you could use the Stampin' Up mini dimensionals. Just checking all that's off. I might just add one more. Just in there, seeing it will fit, because once you press down, you don't want to be pressing down when there's not a dimensional. So if we just put him about there, and then we can press right down because we've got dimensionals all behind it. If you press down where there's not a dimensional, you'll end up with an indentation on your image, which we don't want. So there's that card for you today. That's the triple time technique, and this is the first one I did, which I'm thinking I'd rather more of the images rather than less, so it's up to you whether you want less images or you want it to look a bit more busy, which I think I like this one better. So I hope that helps you with your mail cards, and I really appreciate you subscribing to my channel and all your comments. I just really like to thank you, just lovely comments that you're leaving on my tutorials. And until next time, happy crafting!